Back to England. Now let's consider the terriers of the border region, including the picturesque Lake District. You can appreciate from this 1950s footage just how hazardous it was to travel through this area before the days of modern roads and transport. Tiny villages were isolated by large distances across mountainous and rocky terrain. Transport was often by foot or by pony. The only contact the villagers had with outsiders was usually with the tinkers and gypsies who travelled between the towns selling their wares. So the terriers of the border region developed in these isolated local areas to hunt the foxes and other vermin who lived beneath rocks rather than in the soft, earth-like dens common further south. We shall commence with the border terrier. He developed as a fox terrier, a terrier game enough to bolt foxes. He always ran with hounds, and his ability to do so has been retained over the centuries to this present day. His head has also been retained and never become elongated during his development as a purebred. His moderately broad skull, combined with the short, strong muzzle, is described in today's breed standard as being a head like that of an otter. The modern breed standard still demands that the border terrier be essentially a working terrier, capable of following a horse, combining activity with gameness, somewhat racy in build, and capable of being spanned by both hands behind the shoulder. His skin must be thick and covered with a harsh and dense coat with a close undercoat. His colour can be grizzle and tan, blue and tan, wheaten or red. The Lakeland Terrier has a background somewhat mingled with the other terriers of the border region, particularly the Border Terrier. Today's Lakeland descended directly from the small terrier who had to creep through the narrow spaces among the rocks to find, and if necessary kill, foxes hiding in refuges where there is no soft earth. So today's Lakeland breed standard still requires the reasonably narrow chest reflecting this terrier's original purpose. This is the working Lakeland. Called the Patterdale or Fell Terrier, hunters select them to be not only smaller than 14.5 inches, but also capable of being spanned. The old terrier men used to demand that a Lakeland's body should be able to squeeze through any space between rocks that the head could fit through. So the Lakeland that graces our show ring today should have a powerful head, although the skull should be still refined and flat. However, the head should never be elongated. In other words, the length of the muzzle should never exceed the length of the skull. Today's Lakeland also reflects his historical connection to other terriers of the border region by coming in a variety of colours. His smart, workmanlike appearance, together with his gay, fearless demeanour, plus his bold, friendly and self-confident temperament, makes him an ideal member of modern society. The Bedlington was developed 2 centuries ago by gypsies and tinkers who travelled with their terriers throughout the border region. As the Bedlington developed in a more open rather than a rocky terrain than either the Lakeland or the border, it was important that the Bedlington could run fast enough to catch and kill both rabbits and hare to feed his nomadic human families. So the Bedlington became a graceful, lithe terrier with a markedly flexible and muscular body. He developed an arched loin with his top line curving immediately above the loins. This gives him not only a very distinctive outline but also a unique gait. The Bedlington is capable of galloping at high speeds in a double suspension gallop. This is the fastest of all galloping styles. You can see how all four legs are able to fully extend and also fully contract. So the action of the modern Bedlington at a trot is rather mincing. The gait appears light and springy in slower paces and has a slight roll when in full stride. Unlike the Border and Lakeland Terriers, the Bedlington has a long jaw with an unbroken line from his nose to his occiput at the back of his skull. This line is complemented by his profuse, silky top knot. In fact, the Bedlington's whole coat is very distinctive. It is thick and linty and feels like cotton to the touch and has a tendency to twist. When born, Bedlington puppies are obviously blue, liver or sandy with or without tan. Although the coat colour fades as the Bedlington matures, the pigment should always remain evident. The colour of the Bedlington, those gypsies' dogs of 2 centuries ago, is evident in today's terriers of the border region. The blue and tan Border Terrier, the blue or liver Lakeland Terrier, and the pepper or mustard colour of the Dandie Dinmont Terrier, which we shall now consider. As the Dandie Dinmont Terrier first appeared in the English stud book in 1861, he is among the oldest of our recognised purebred terriers. By then, terriers of Dandie Dinmont type were well established as they had been popularised by the novelist Sir Walter Scott in his book Guy Mannering, published in 1814. 2 centuries ago, terriers with both short and long legs were born in the same litter. Gypsies found the short-legged terriers useful for entering dens to hunt underground quarry. The idea was to produce a terrier with a long, low, weaselly body shaped similarly to the quarry the terrier was bred to hunt. Hence the beginnings of the short-legged terrier breeds on both sides of the border. Now, let's watch the Dandie Dinmont's weaselly body developing. Historically, he went through a phase of having a comparatively flat back and shortish body. As the body lengthened again, the low weasel shape began to emerge. The arch over the loin and the low shoulders developed. Finally came the gradual drop from the loin to the root of the tail. So the unique top line of the Dandie Dinmont we know today. The Dandie's coat has a soft and linty undercoat and a harder but not wiry top coat. During the century and a half of development as a show dog, the Dandie's head has become larger and the forehead more domed. The marvellous top knot we see on the Dandie today began as an extension of its soft, silky head furnishings. As with the Bedlington, this hair extends to a fringe at the tip of the ears. Although today a cosmetic feature, the origin of the fringe was a decoy, so protecting the thin cartilage of the ear from damage if it was grabbed by prey. The Bedlington and Dandie were originally bred to hunt.